When the Galactic Council learned Earth's real name, fear reverberated through the galaxy. The Grand Assembly Hall was the largest structure ever built by living beings. It floated at the center of the galaxy, a massive station where 847 different species gathered to discuss the future of all life. Today, the hall was completely full. Every seat was taken. Every balcony was crowded with curious observers. Ambassador Yunta Ri stood at the center of the speaking floor. She was 58 years old, with gray hair pulled back tight and eyes that had seen too many difficult negotiations. Behind her stood 5 other humans, including Captain Kang Du-Hyan of the diplomatic vessel Horizon. He was a tall man with a calm face and steady hands. They had traveled 3 months to reach this place. Today was the naming ceremony. After 50 years as a provisional member of the Galactic Council, humanity would finally receive its official designation. No more would they be called Species 7 Gamma 12, a cold number that meant nothing. Today, Earth would be entered into the Eternal Archive with its true name. Tairi looked up at the countless faces watching from above. Some species looked like insects with too many eyes. Others were made of light or floating gas. Some had tentacles. Some had no bodies at all. All of them were looking at the small group of humans with expressions that ranged. From boredom to mild curiosity, humanity was considered young, unremarkable, a species that had only left their home planet 200 years ago. They had no great technology to offer, no ancient wisdom to share. They were, in the eyes of most council members, barely worth noticing. The Velith Chronicler floated to the center of the chamber. It was an ancient being, older than most stars. Its body was a shifting mass of silver light with hundreds of small eyes that blinked in strange patterns. The Chronicler had performed this ceremony millions of times. It held the memories of every species that had ever joined the Council. "We gather today to welcome a new member to our family of stars," the Chronicler said. His voice was like wind through crystals. Species 7 Gamma 12, known in their own tongue as humanity, will now receive their true name. Tairi felt her heart beat faster. She had prepared for this moment for years. The true name was more than just a title. It was the cosmic signature of a species' home world. It revealed the nature of a planet, its history, its very soul. Most species received simple, beautiful names. The Luminari came from a world called the Singing Light. The Veth people came from the calm waters. Humanity would finally know what the universe saw when it looked at Earth. The Chronicler extended one tendril of light toward Tairi. "Ambassador, please provide a sample of your world." Tairi opened a small container she had carried from Earth. Inside was a handful of soil from the Korean peninsula, mixed with seawater from the Pacific Ocean, and a single preserved leaf from a tree that grew outside her childhood home. She placed it in the Chronicler's light. The ancient being closed its many eyes. The entire hall fell silent. Thousands of species watched as the Chronicler connected to Earth's cosmic frequency, reading the vibrations that had echoed through space for 4 billion years. Captain Du-Hyan leaned close to Tairi. "It usually only takes a moment," he whispered. She nodded. Something was wrong. The Chronicler had been still for far too long. Its silver light was flickering in ways she had never seen before. Suddenly, the Chronicler's eyes snapped open. All of them. Every single one of its hundreds of eyes was now wide and staring at the humans. Its body shook. "That is not possible," the Chronicler said. Its voice cracked. Murmurs spread through the hall. In millions of ceremonies, the Chronicler had never hesitated. It had never shown fear. But now, this ancient being was trembling before a handful of young apes from a small blue planet. "What is it?" Tairi asked. "What is our name?" The Chronicler spoke a single word in the old tongue. The translators in the hall worked to convert it into every language. The word appeared on screens, was whispered into ears, was beamed directly into minds. Everyone heard the same meaning: the survivor. The murmurs grew louder. Species looked at each other in confusion. Survivor? What did that mean? All species were survivors in some way. What was special about this name? But the elder species, the ancient ones who sat in the highest balconies, they reacted differently. An old Luminari elder dropped a light glass he was holding. A Veth counselor made a sound that might have been a scream. A being of pure energy flickered out of existence for a moment, as if it had forgotten how to stay solid. "There must be an error," one council member shouted. "Check again." The chronicler shook its head slowly. "There is no error. I have seen Earth's true history. I have felt its cosmic signature. This world should not exist. The beings who come from it should not be standing here." Terry stepped forward. "Explain. What do you mean we should not exist?" The chronicler looked at her with something new in its ancient eyes. Was it fear? Was it respect? She could not tell. "I am calling an emergency session of the High Council," the chronicler announced. "This ceremony is suspended. All records of this moment are to be sealed. What I have seen today triggers protocols that have not been used in 3 million years." Chaos erupted in the hall. Species shouted questions. Guards moved to contain the crowds. Somewhere, an alarm began to sound. Duhayan grabbed Terry's arm. "What is happening?" She shook her head. "I do not know. But I think we just learned that Earth is not what we thought it was." The chronicler was already floating away, but it stopped and turned back to look at the humans one last time. When it spoke again, its voice was barely a whisper, but somehow everyone in the hall heard it. "You call your world Earth. You think it is ordinary. But the universe has another name for it. The universe calls it the world that refused to die. And now, after 3 billion years, everyone will learn why that terrifies us all." The chronicler disappeared through a door that Terry had not noticed before. The emergency lights continued to flash. Around her, 847 species were looking at the 6 humans with new eyes. For 50 years, humanity had tried to earn respect through diplomacy and patience. In one moment, they had earned something else entirely. They had earned fear, and Terry did not know if that was a blessing or a curse. When the Galactic Council learned Earth's real name, fear reverberated through the galaxy, the chronicler's private chambers were deep inside the station, far from the chaos of the main hall. The walls here were made of black stone that absorbed all light. The only illumination came from the chronicler itself, its silver glow casting strange shadows across the ancient room. Ambassador Yuntei stood with her hands clasped behind her back. Captain Kanduhayan was beside her, his face calm but his eyes alert. They had been brought here by guards who refused to speak or answer questions. A door opened and a young woman entered. She had short hair and wore the uniform of the Science Division. This was Park Yunbai, the delegation's Zen archaeologist. At 35, she was the youngest member of the team, but she knew more about ancient alien civilizations than anyone else on the horizon. "They pulled me out of my quarters," Yunbai said. "What is happening?" "The whole station is in panic." "We do not know yet," Terry replied. "The chronicler called us here. It said it would explain everything." The silver being floated into the chamber through a wall. It moved slowly now, as if carrying a great weight. Its many eyes were dim. "Thank you for coming," the chronicler said. "I apologize for the confusion. What I learned today? I needed time to process it." "Then tell us," Duhayan said. "What is so special about Earth's name?" The chronicler moved to the center of the room. With a wave of one tendril, it created a display of light in the air. Stars appeared, swirling in the familiar pattern of the galaxy. Every world has a true name, the chronicler began. This is the cosmic signature that tells the story of a planet. Most names are simple, beautiful. The world of the Luminari is called the Singing Light because their star creates harmonic vibrations. The Vethome is the calm waters because it is covered in peaceful oceans. And Earth? Terry asked. The chronicler's light flickered. Earth's name is not simple. Earth's name is a list. Umbai stepped forward, her scientist's curiosity overcoming her fear. A list of what? Deaths, the chronicler said. Extinctions, catastrophes. Your world's true name is the survivor of the 5 silences. Silence fell over the chamber. The 3 humans looked at each other in confusion. The 5 silences, the chronicler continued. This is what we call the great extinction events that sweep across the galaxy. They are cosmic disasters of such power that they can destroy all life on a world. In the history of this galaxy, over 400,000 planets have been touched by a silence. Do you know how many survived? No one answered. 1, the chronicler said. Earth, and Earth did not survive 1 silence. It survived 5. The chronicler waved its tendril again. The galaxy display zoomed in on a small blue dot on the outer edge. Earth. The image shifted to show the planet's history, moving backward through time. 66 million years ago, a massive object struck your world. Fire covered the planet. Dust blocked the sun. Nearly all life died. The display showed the impact, the wall of fire, the endless winter that followed. This was the 5th silence. The image shifted again, going further back. 250 million years ago, your planet's interior released poison into the air and oceans. 96% of all species died. This was the 4th silence. Yumbai was watching with wide eyes. She knew these events. Every human did. They were taught in schools as mass extinctions. But seeing them displayed as cosmic events, as silences that had destroyed countless other worlds. 370 million years ago. 440 million years ago. 445 million years ago. The chronicler showed each disaster in turn. Oceans dying. Ice covering everything. The sky itself seeming to catch fire. Each time, your world should have died. Each time, the silence should have won. But life on Earth refused to end. The chronicler turned to face the humans directly. Other worlds touched by even 1 silence became dead rocks floating in space. Your world was touched by 5. And after each one, life came back. Not just surviving, but stronger. More diverse. More determined. Do-Hyan found his voice. Why does this frighten you? Should it not be a cause for celebration? The chronicler was quiet for a long moment. Then it moved toward a section of the wall and passed through it. Follow me, its voice echoed back. There is more you must see. They followed through the wall, which felt like walking through cold water. On the other side was a vast underground chamber. Sealed memory vault, the entrance said in a language so old that even the translator had difficulty with it. This vault has been opened only twice in recorded history, the chronicler said. Today will be the 3rd time. The vault door dissolved at the chronicler's touch. Inside were countless glowing spheres, each one containing memories from millions of years ago. The chronicler selected one and opened it. A voice filled the chamber, speaking in a language that somehow all of them understood. The silences are not natural, the ancient voice said. They are tests. They are filters designed to find the species worthy of inheriting all that we leave behind. We are the architects. We seeded life across this galaxy 3 billion years ago. We created the silences to find our successors. Tari felt her legs weaken. She reached out to steady herself against the wall. The architects. Yunbai whispered. "The beings who created the elder species. They are real. They actually existed." "They did more than exist," the chronicler said. "They designed everything. Every species in this galaxy was created by them. They made us to be candidates. They created the silences to test us. Only the species that could survive everything would be worthy of receiving their inheritance." "But you said no other world survived even one silence," Duhain said. "Correct. The elder species were created after their home worlds had already been tested. They are what the architects called first drafts. Good enough to build civilizations. Not strong enough to receive the true inheritance." The chronicler floated close to Teri, its many eyes fixed on her face. For 3 billion years, the architects waited. They watched world after world fail their tests. They began to believe that they had made a mistake, that no species would ever be worthy. And then, on a small planet on the edge of the galaxy, something impossible happened. "Earth passed all 5 tests," Teri said quietly. "Not just passed," the chronicler replied. "Earth passed with such determination that it terrified even the architects themselves. Your world was not designed by them. They found it already filled with life so stubborn, so impossible to kill, that they could not understand it." "What does this mean for us?" Duhayan asked. "What is this inheritance you speak of?" The chronicler was about to answer when a deep alarm filled the vault. Red light pulsed through the ancient stone. "Something is happening," the chronicler said, fear entering its voice for the first time. "Something has been activated." The naming ceremony, speaking Earth's true name, must have triggered. It stopped. All of its eyes were now focused on something far away, something none of the humans could see. "The architects left one final test," the chronicler whispered. "One last challenge for the species that passed the 5 silences. It has been sleeping for 3 billion years, and now it is awake. And it is coming for Earth." The alarm grew louder. Somewhere, the entire station shook. Tari looked at her companions. They had come here hoping to receive a name. Instead, they had learned that humanity was the answer to a question 3 billion years old, and the final exam was about to begin. When the Galactic Council learned Earth's real name, fear reverberated through the galaxy. The High Council chamber was filled with panic. Elder species who had lived for millions of years were shouting over each other. Lights flashed warnings in a dozen different colors. Translators struggled to keep up with the chaos. Ambassador Yun Tairi pushed through the crowd with Captain Kang, Duhayan and Park Yunbai close behind. They were stopped at the entrance by a massive guard with 4 arms and skin like blue stone. "Humans are not permitted in the emergency session," the guard said. "This emergency is about us." Terry replied firmly. "We have a right to be here." Before the guard could respond, a calm voice spoke from behind them. "Let them pass." The guard stepped aside immediately. Floating behind them was Elder Vethmora of the Luminari, one of the founding members of the Galactic Council. Vethmora was ancient beyond counting, a being of pure light shaped vaguely like a tall, thin humanoid. Its glow was soft gold, and its voice carried the weight of millennia. "Thank you," Terry said. "Can you tell us what is happening?" Vethmora guided them to a viewing platform above the main floor. From here, they could see the entire chamber. On the central screen, an image showed the outer edge of the galaxy. Something was moving there. Something enormous. "The entity was detected 3 hours ago," Vethmora explained. "It is approximately the size of a small moon. It was dormant in the deep void between galaxies. When the chronicler spoke Earth's true name, it activated. Lieutenant Beat G1, a young security officer from the Horizon, joined them on the platform. He was 29, with sharp eyes and a soldier's posture. "I heard the alarms. What are we looking at?" The final test, Yunbai whispered. She had been studying the data on her portable screen. This thing has been waiting for 3 billion years. It woke up when Earth was named. Below them, the council was descending into greater chaos. Species were already calling for evacuation. Some demanded that humanity be expelled from the station. Others wanted the humans contained, studied, perhaps even destroyed before whatever was coming reached the galaxy. Silence. The chronicler's voice cut through the noise. Everyone stopped. The ancient being floated to the center of the chamber. I will now share what I know. What I have kept hidden for 3 billion years. The chamber went completely quiet. The architects created life in this galaxy. The chronicler began. This you know. What you do not know is why they left. Why they disappeared 3 billion years ago without warning or explanation. The screen behind the chronicler changed. It now showed beings of impossible beauty. They were made of light and shadow woven together, with forms that shifted between solid and liquid. The architects. The architects were not gods. They were not perfect. They were scientists, explorers. They came to this galaxy to seed life and watch it grow. They created the elder species as their first attempts. You were beautiful, but you were not what they needed. Lethmora made a sound of pain. We knew we were created. We did not know we were failures. Not failures, the chronicler said. First drafts. The architects were searching for something specific. A species that could survive anything. A species with a will to live so strong that nothing in the universe could break it. The screen changed again. Now it showed Earth, but not the Earth that humans knew. This was Earth billions of years ago, when life was just beginning. The architects did not create Earth. They found it. A small, unremarkable planet on the edge of the galaxy. But when they examined it, they discovered something that terrified them. What? Duhayan asked. Life on Earth was not like life anywhere else. It was stubborn beyond reason. It adapted to everything. It survived conditions that should have been impossible. When the architects sent probes to study it, some of the organisms survived the journey through space itself. Survived the vacuum. Survived the radiation. The chronicler paused, letting this sink in. The architects realized they had not created life on Earth. Something else had. Or perhaps life on Earth had created itself through some process they could not understand. Either way, it scared them. Why would that scare them? G1 asked. Vethmora answered. Because they could not control it. The architects could control everything they created. But Earth was beyond them. The chronicler continued. The architects decided to test Earth. They believed that surely this stubborn life could be destroyed. They created the silences. 5 extinction events of increasing power. They were not tests. They were assassination attempts. Terry felt cold despite the warm air of the chamber. They tried to kill us? They tried to kill everything on your world. 5 times. The first silence killed most of the life in Earth's oceans. Life came back. The second silence froze the entire planet. Life came back. The third silence poisoned the air and water. Life came back. The fourth silence burned the surface with fire from the sky. Life came back. The fifth silence was the most powerful, the impact that killed the great reptiles. And still, life came back. The screen showed each extinction event in rapid succession. Oceans boiling, ice covering continents, skies turning black with ash. And after each disaster, green returning, life returning, always returning. After the fifth silence, the architects fled. They left this galaxy entirely. Before they left, they created one final entity. Not another test. A guardian. The screen returned to the massive structure approaching from the void. It was closer now. Massive spires of dark metal surrounded a core of pulsing light. If Earth species ever reached the stars, if they ever evolved enough to join the galactic community and speak their true name, this guardian would activate. The architects wanted to know what would happen. Would the species of Earth become conquerors, using their impossible survival ability to dominate all others? Or would they become something else? What happens when it reaches us? Yunbai asked. The Guardian is a choice, the chronicler said. It carries the architect's inheritance, all their knowledge, all their technology, everything they built in 3 billion years of existence. It will offer this to humanity, but the offer comes with 2 paths, 2 possible futures. The council erupted in noise again. Species shouted in fear. Some called for the destruction of the entity. Others demanded that humanity be kept away from it. Quiet, Terry shouted. Her voice was strong enough to cut through the chaos. She walked to the edge of the platform, looking down at the hundreds of terrified species below. You are afraid of us. I understand. You just learned that everything you thought about humanity was wrong. We are not young. We are not weak. We are the survivors of 5 attempts to destroy our world. She paused, letting her words settle. But we did not know any of this. We came here today hoping only to receive a name, to be welcomed as equals. We did not ask for this inheritance. We did not ask for your fear. All we ever wanted was to be part of something bigger than ourselves. The chamber was quiet. Every eye was on the small human woman standing on the platform. The architects created you to find the perfect species, Terry continued. They sent 5 disasters to destroy us. They failed. And now they have sent one final test. I do not know what we will find when we face that entity. But I know this. Whatever choice we will make it as humans have always made choices. Together. Fighting for each other. Because that is how we survived. Not through strength alone. Through love. Through stubbornness. Through the simple refusal to let the universe tell us when to die. She looked up at the screen, at the approaching entity. The architects were afraid of Earth. Maybe they should have been. But they made one mistake. They thought survival was the only thing that mattered. They never understood that what we do after we survive is what truly defines us. The alarm continued to pulse. The entity was getting closer. But in the High Council chamber, something had shifted. Fear was still present, but mixed with it now was something else. Curiosity. And perhaps, just perhaps, the smallest seed of hope. When the Galactic Council learned Earth's real name, fear reverberated through the galaxy. The entity was one day away from Earth's solar system. Across the galaxy, species were fleeing toward the core, abandoning their stations and colonies on the outer edges. They did not know what the entity would do, but they did not want to be nearby when it arrived. Captain Cam Duhan stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching the approach on his main screen. The ship had left the Council station hours ago, racing toward Earth at maximum speed. Ambassador Yoon Tae-ri was beside him, speaking through a communication link to Earth's Defense Command. They want to fire on it, Terry said, covering the microphone. The military thinks they can destroy it before it reaches Earth. Can they? Duhan asked. Dr. Shinhana, the ship's chief science officer, shook her head. She was 44, with tired eyes and hands that were always holding a data tablet. That entity has been sleeping in the void for 3 billion years. The temperature there is close to absolute zero. The radiation is extreme. Nothing we have could survive that. Whatever the architects built it from, our weapons will not scratch it. Then what do we do? Hannah pulled up her analysis on the main screen. I have been studying the entity's structure. It is not a weapon. The design is wrong for that. The energy signatures suggested is more like a lock. A massive, complicated lock waiting for the right key. What kind of key? Terry asked. A biological one. Human DNA. The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Someone would have to go inside that thing. Engineer O.J. Soong stepped forward. He was 38, with calloused hands from years of working with machines. But his true passion was not engineering. It was xenorchaeology. He'd spent 15 years studying architect artifacts, the small pieces that elder species had preserved from that ancient civilization. I will go, Jae-Sung said. Du-Hyan turned to face him. We cannot ask that of you. You are not asking. I am volunteering. Jae-Sung walked to the main screen, touching the image of the entity. I have dreamed of the architects my entire life. I have studied every piece of their technology that still exists. I know their design language. I can read their symbols. If anyone on this ship can understand what we find inside that thing, it is me. Terry put a hand on his shoulder. You understand that you might not come back. I understand. But if I do not go, we might all not come back. The entity is heading for Earth. If we do not interact with it, we do not know what it will do. At least this way, we have a chance to control the outcome. Hannah was already working on her tablet. I will modify a shuttle with the specifications needed to survive the entity's outer shell. The energy readings suggest there is a passage on the lower hemisphere. Jae-Sung, you will have approximately 6 hours of life support once you enter. Then I should not waste time. 2 hours later, Jae-Sung sat in a small shuttle as it detached from the horizon. Through his window, he could see the entity clearly now. It was terrifying and beautiful at the same time. Dark metal spires reached out in all directions, surrounding a core of soft blue light. It was the size of a small moon, but somehow it felt even larger, as if it existed in more dimensions than he could see. His communication link crackled. Shuttle 1, this is Horizon. You are approaching the entry point. Be careful. Understood, Captain. The shuttle slipped between 2 massive spires and entered a tunnel of smooth black stone. Lights began to appear along the walls, responding to his presence. The architect's technology recognized something in him. It was waking up. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Jae-Sung landed his shuttle on a platform that seemed designed for exactly this purpose. When he stepped out, the air was surprisingly warm, breathable. The architects had known that humans would need this. He walked toward the center of the chamber. As he moved, walls shifted around him, panels opening to reveal corridors and passages. The entity was guiding him somewhere. After 20 minutes of walking, he reached a circular room. In the center was a pedestal. Above it, a hologram flickered to life. The image was of an architect, its form shifting between light and shadow. You have arrived, the image said. His voice was calm, neither male nor female. We have waited 3 billion years for this moment. Jae-Sung bowed slightly. I am Jae-Sung of Earth. I represent humanity. We know what you are. We have watched your species since before you learned to walk upright. We have seen your wars, your kindness, your cruelty, your art, your science, your endless, stubborn refusal to die. Why did you try to destroy us? The architect image flickered. Was that shame? We were afraid. We had created life throughout this galaxy. We understood it. We controlled it. But life on Earth was different. It did not obey our rules. It grew in ways we did not predict. It survived things that should have been impossible. We did not know what it would become, so you tried to kill us. Yes, we sent the silences. Each one was designed to end all life on your world. Each one failed. After the 5th failure, we realized something. What? We were not killing Earth's life. We were making it stronger. Each silence forced your world to adapt, to evolve, to become more resilient. We were training you, creating the very thing we feared. Jae-sung felt a chill run through him. The mass extinctions that had shaped Earth's history, that had killed the dinosaurs and countless other species, had not been random disasters. They had been attacks. And humanity was the result. What do you want from us now? The architect image moved closer. We left this galaxy because we knew we could not control what Earth would become. But we also knew that one day, your species would reach the stars. When that happened, you would face a choice. The same choice every dominant species faces. A second hologram appeared. It showed two paths branching from a single point. Path 1. Power. We offer you everything we built. Our weapons. Our fleets. Our technology of war. With these, you could conquer this galaxy. No species could stand against you. You would rule as gods, just as we once did. The image shifted to show the second path. Path 2. Knowledge. We offer you everything we learned. Our science. Our medicine. Our understanding of the universe. With these, you could heal this galaxy. You could solve problems that have plagued other species for millions of years. You would serve as guardians, not conquerors. Jae-sung stared at the two paths. This is the final test. Yes, the 5 silences tested your world's ability to survive. This tests your species' soul. What will humanity choose when given ultimate power? Will you become what we feared? Or what we hoped? What did you hope for? The architect was quiet for a long moment. We hoped that we were wrong. We hoped that a species that survived everything would understand that survival alone is not enough. That true strength comes from what you do after you survive. We hoped that Earth would produce beings who chose connection over conquest, healing over harm. Jae-sung thought about Earth's history, the wars, the suffering, the terrible things humans had done to each other. But he also thought about the other things. The art, the music, the way strangers helped each other after disasters, the way humans kept reaching out to the stars, not to conquer, but to explore, to understand, to connect dots. He thought about his grandmother, who had survived the war and still planted flowers in her garden. He thought about his daughter, who dreamed of meeting alien species and learning their songs. He knew what humanity was, good and bad, light and shadow. But he also knew what they could choose to be. I need to contact my people, he said. This choice is not mine alone to make. The architect nodded. We expected you to say that. A conqueror would have chosen already. You are asking permission. You are thinking of others. It paused. Perhaps we were right to hope after all. Jae-sung opened his communication link. Horizon, this is Jae-sung. I have made contact, and we have a decision to make. The future of humanity was waiting for an answer. When the Galactic Council learned Earth's real main fear, reverberated through the galaxy, the communication was broadcast across all of humanity. Every screen on Earth, every ship in the fleet, every human living on distant colonies watched as engineer. Jae-sung explained the choice before them. Ambassador Yoon Tae-ri coordinated the response from the horizon. She had spoken with Earth's leaders, with scientists, with ordinary citizens who called in their opinions. The discussion lasted 6 hours. It was the longest 6 hours in human history. In the entity's central chamber, Jae-sung waited. The architect hologram remained with him, watching silently. It had said nothing during the deliberation, respecting humanity's need to reach consensus. Finally, Tae-ri's voice came through the communication link. Jae-sung, we have decided. What is the choice? There was a pause. Then, Tae-ri spoke, her voice steady and clear. We choose knowledge. We choose to be guardians, not conquerors. We choose to heal, not to harm. Jae-sung felt tears forming in his eyes. He had hoped, but part of him had feared. Part of him had wondered if humanity's darker nature would win. But they had chosen light. The architect hologram shifted. Its form seemed to grow brighter. You are certain? Power would make you immune to all threats. No species could ever hurt you again. We survived 5 extinctions, Jae-sung replied. We did not survive them to become the thing that kills others. Our strength is not in our ability to destroy. It is in our ability to rebuild, to connect, to love. The architect was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice carried something new. Was it relief? Was it joy? Then receive your inheritance. The chamber transformed. Walls opened to reveal vast libraries of crystal and light. Data streams began flowing from the entity into every human network. Every database, every computer connected to the galactic web. Jae-sung watched as information poured past him. Cures for diseases that had killed millions. Energy technology that did not poison planets. Methods to restore dead ecosystems. Techniques to communicate with species so different from humans that no one had ever successfully spoken with them before. This knowledge is now yours, the architect said. Use it wisely. Use it to heal the scars we left on this galaxy. Use it to connect species that have been enemies for millions of years. Use it to become what we could not be. What will happen to you? This form will end. We have been waiting 3 billion years for this moment. Now that it has arrived, we can finally rest. But before we go, there is one more thing we must do. The entity began to change. Its massive spires retracted. Its structure compressed. The dark metal became bright, glowing with inner light. We transform ourselves into a beacon, a signal that will broadcast across the galaxy. All species will hear it. All will know what you have chosen. The beacon activated. Jae-sung felt the pulse of energy pass through him, through the horizon, through Earth itself, through every corner of the galaxy. The message was not in words. It was in feelings and concepts and pure meaning. It said, the survivors of Earth have chosen connection over conquest. They come not as masters, but as friends. They offer healing, not harm. They are the ones we waited for. Back on the council station, chaos had returned. But this time, it was not fear. It was confusion, wonder. Hope. Elder Vethmora of the Luminary stood in the center of the High Council chamber. The beacon's message had reached everyone. Species who had been fleeing stopped their ships. Species who had been preparing weapons lowered them. They chose knowledge, Vethmora said, its voice filled with amazement. They were given ultimate power, and they chose to help us instead of rule us. The chronicler floated nearby. Its silver light was brighter than it had been in centuries. The architects hoped for this. They could not know if it would happen. But they hoped. What do we do now? A council member asked. Ambassador Yuntae re-answered. She had been watching through the Horizon's communication link, but now her face appeared on every screen in the chamber. Now we talk, she said. For 50 years, humanity has been trying to prove that we belong here. We tried to show that we were harmless, that we were peaceful, that we meant no threat to anyone. But we were hiding who we truly are. We are the survivors of the 5 silences. We carry the legacy of the architects. We are more powerful than any species in this galaxy, and we choose to use that power to help. She paused, looking at the faces of hundreds of species watching her. The architects created you as first drafts. They thought you were failures because you could only survive 1 silence each. But I see it differently. You survived 1 silence each. That is not failure. That is strength. Every species here has earned its place in this galaxy through suffering and survival. We are all children of the stars. And now, we can finally work together. The chamber was silent. Then, slowly, Elder Vethmora began to glow brighter. This was the Luminari way of showing approval. Other species joined in with their own gestures. The Veth Counselor sang a note of harmony. A being of pure energy pulsed in patterns of joy. One by one, 847 species showed their support. Captain Kan Duhayan stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching the beacon that had once been the architect's final test. It was beautiful now, a symbol of hope floating in space. Lieutenant Beaky G1 joined him. What happens to us now, Captain? Everything changes, and nothing does. We are still human. We still have our flaws, our conflicts, our messy history. But now we have a purpose. We help rebuild what the silences destroyed. We heal what the architects broke. We become what no species has ever been before. What is that? The bridge. The connection. The ones who bring everyone together. Dr. Shinhana walked onto the bridge, holding her data tablet. The information from the architects is incredible. Cures for diseases we thought were incurable. Technology that could terraform dead worlds. Methods to extend life, to create energy from nothing, to travel faster than anyone thought possible. It will take centuries to fully understand all of it. Then, we better get started, Duhayan said. Months later, the Galactic Council held a new ceremony. This time, it was not just for naming. It was for celebration. Ambassador Yoon Tae-ri stood at the center of the Grand Assembly Hall, the same hall where everything had begun. But now, instead of fear, the chamber was filled with hope. We update the Eternal Archive, the chronicler announced. The species known as 7 Gamma 12 is formally recognized. They are no longer provisional members. They are full members of the Galactic Council. What is their official name? A council member asked. The chronicler's many eyes looked at Tae-ri with what might have been affection. Their true name is the Survivor of the 5 Silences. But that name carries fear. Today, we add a new name. A name that carries hope. The chronicler spoke the new title into the Eternal Archive. Every translator rendered it slightly differently, but the meaning was the same. Humanity. The survivors who chose to share. The hall erupted in celebration. Species that had never spoken to each other began conversations. Old enemies looked at each other and wondered if perhaps peace was possible. High above the celebration, in a quiet observation room, a young Luminari child asked her elder, "Why did the architects fear Earth?" Elder Vethmora looked down at the humans celebrating with the galaxy they had just saved from fear. Because they could not understand a species that refused to die. They thought survival was the goal. They never realized that what you do after you survive is what truly matters. The humans taught us that. They chose to share their strength instead of using it. That is not fearsome. That is beautiful. The child watched the humans below. One of them, a young security officer named Beak G1, was trying to learn a Luminari dance. He was doing it badly, but everyone around him was laughing with joy. Not mockery? Will they protect us? The child asked. They will do something better, Vethmora replied. They will teach us to protect each other. And together, we will build something the architects never imagined. Not an empire of one species. A family of all species. That is Earth's true gift to the galaxy. The celebration continued through the night. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the beacon of the architects pulsed with light, broadcasting the same message over and over to every corner of the universe. We found them. The ones who chose love over power. The ones who refused to die and refused to kill. The survivors who learned to share. The galaxy is safe now. Humanity is here.